This is the podcast, Melvin, where we talk about the mysterious and the strange. And today, my name is Tori, and today Nicole is going to be talking about something.
Hello.
And this will be interesting. Usually, if you're new here, we typically don't know what we're talking about for each other. So it's all new for me.
So today we're actually going to be talking about one of the first Olympics.
That's good.
Not like the very first ones, like with the Greeks and all that.
Is that
but like,
even recorded?
No,
I don't think so.
But like one of the first that's like on record. It's definitely the first one that was hosted in America. And I thought this would be an interesting topic because I know you have family history with the Olympics.
I do. My granddad is an Olympic medalist.
That's so
rifle
cool.
shooting. Yeah.
I don't think my family has anything remotely close to that. We just have a bunch of people that have been in the army.
That's impressive too.
That's true. But today we're talking about the specifically the 1904 Olympics and a very specific event at this Olympics, which is going to be the men's marathon because of how many things went wrong.
So what is the marathon? Like, is it
It's
it
long
running?
distance running.
Okay.
Yeah, so like kind of like the Boston Marathon, where they run a far distance. I don't know enough about running because I'm bad at it to be able to be like a marathon is blah blah kilometers. I just know that a marathon is where you run really far and you're dead tired at the end. So if you even make it through, it's like a huge accomplishment.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Let
Okay.
alone being in an Olympic marathon.
I don't even know what that would entail. I could not.
So, when I was researching this, I clicked on a couple like different articles because normally I'll go on like one or two articles and I'll end up finding like the bulk of my information from those because that's how I tend to be like, okay, this article seems to be, fact-checked well, is because it has all the information already present on it and it's not like sensationalizing it by having like one or two paragraphs that summarize it and then the rest of it's just
Yeah.
Timmy said, I can't believe it. Like, to me, that's not credible if half of your article is just people commenting about the subject of your article.
No. That
Yeah,
means you did not have enough information.
Right. So this one, they had quite a few different articles about it. I actually found some extra information from, I think it was like National Geographic or like something history website. I'll put a link on there if I remember which one it is. It's open on my laptop at my house right now. It's fine because I found it like in the middle of the night last night. But basically, I feel like I could cover 2 videos just on this Olympics because this Olympics was the first one that was hosted in America. It was them trying to resurge Olympics because it was like at a time when the world was kind of tense with each other. It's before World War I and World War II.
So
when
this
tensions
is
are
before
building.
the world WW.
World War.
The WW.
The WW, yes. Double W.
Double W.
Yeah, because it was in 1904 when this Olympics actually happened. But the first Olympics was in St. Louis.
Okay.
And it was tied to the World's Fair that year because I guess the United States was also hosting the World's Fair. So it was them kind of trying to reestablish like a cultural connection with other countries. However, they had so many things going wrong that they actually ended up having like a mock Olympics. Or they had like I wouldn't say mock, they tried to make it like a real Olympics, but they basically had a redo in 1906 and then had the actual Olympics again in 1908. Because of all the controversy from this one. One of which was, let me see what the term was called. I think it was like, I'm hitting my microphone, hello. I found this information last night, so it's like back of my notes. Let me see. First in the U.S. Where'd it go? Oh yeah, they had an event known as Anthropology Days, where they had people from certain areas like South Africa and North Africa and South America that were more culturally diverse than the white people of the United States, and they had them do their own kind of athletic events.
Oh, okay. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah,
at the
including
time.
like showing like exotic dances and stuff, which these days, if you think about it, doing like a bunch of
Exotic
things.
dances?
That's what it says, that it was in quotations, so I don't know.
What does that mean?
I'm guessing like tribal dances, you
Hmm,
know, but
okay.
basically it was meant to exhibit these cultures, but it just came off the wrong way because it was mainly like people of color entertaining crowds of Caucasian people. So it just didn't come
I
off
mean,
the world's best.
yeah, no. I mean,
And plus, they called it
yeah, no.
anthropology, and it's not like. I feel like if the United States had also participated, or more like European countries, it would have been different. But apparently, it was primarily like the more, as they would call back then, exotic ones. Because this was definitely still when segregation and stuff was a thing.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Like, this is still, like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I feel like I could do a whole nother video just on the anthropology days thing, because that, oof. The little
That
bit of
sounds like an
information I
oof.
read about it is an oof.
Sounds like a big oof.
But basically, the 1904 men's marathon, I find it the most fascinating marathon that's ever happened because of how many, like, and not just because, like, oh, it's our first race, we overlooked like one or two things. No, it was blatant. It was blatant people being like, well, I'm not in the race, so I don't care, because otherwise you definitely would have thought of half of the things that went wrong.
So they had people that weren't going to be in the race, or people that didn't care about running, make up this course?
That's what it sounds like to me.
That's very poor planning.
Yeah. So
I'd be upset if I was.
So this was before marathon distances had actually been like standardized, because back then they were just kind of like, okay, whoever's the best of the best, it doesn't matter how long the courses are, as long as whoever's in first place gets first place, you know.
Well, so do they have sprinting then? Like the I'm not a track person.
I think they had a version of that, but I know that event got more standardized like later on. So this is when they're just trying to get events started to be able to have Olympic medals.
Okay,
and
so
stuff
there's
again.
like no actual mileage based on here, like
well, there is
50-yard sprint kind of thing in a
yeah,
mile.
no, it's more of they'll like mark, here's where it starts, here's where it ends, and whoever gets first place gets first place. But they didn't like, let's make sure that we make it 50, yards or whatever for this event, so that it's like that every year. It was before it was standardized between each event, if that makes sense.
Okay, I guess I can get that.
But their marathon distance in St. Louis was 24.85 miles, or 40 kilometers if you're not, American, because I do not understand kilometers or anything like that.
I don't either. I know we're the only ones
We're
that
the
don't
only
do the
ones.
metric system.
But it would be too much of a headache to switch over like
There's
300
no way
million
to.
people
Yeah,
to a new measurement
it's not
system
gonna
at
happen.
this point.
All our measuring cups, all of it. It's all our rulers would have to be changed.
So the course comprised of, I think it was 7. It was either 5 or 7. It was an odd number. Let me look. This is another thing that I found on that extra article. Yes, 7. I have a good memory today. There are 7 hills on the course that ranged between 100 to 300 feet high that they had to navigate along the course. And they only had 2 sources of water. So one was a water tower at the 6-mile mark, and the other one was a well at the 12-mile mark, meaning they had 12 miles in the second half of the race where they didn't have any water sources.
What common sense would say, if you're gonna start it to where it's like 6 miles, at least it would be every 6 miles there's a water station. Like at least that. Ultimately, I would think you would have more water stations towards the end of it versus the beginning, but I mean, I don't know. I'm not a runner. I don't run.
So the reason why they only had 2 water sources was the chief organizer of this Olympic event. His name was James E. Sullivan, which makes me laugh because it reminds me of Sully from Monsters Incorporated.
Yeah.
But he set up, but he didn't want to set up other water sources because he was trying to test purposeful dehydration to see how far like athletic bodies could go without water. Which, guess what? If you don't have water, you will die.
So I'm guessing that he had done this without the authorization of anybody else. He decided to have this experiment.
From what it sounds like, he just kind of was like, well, I'm the leader here, so I'm going to do this. And I don't think anyone cross-checked him because, you know, this is before they had, like, you can get sued for a, you know, event going wrong. Like, this is one of the reasons, because I studied sports law for a little bit when I was in college because I was a kinesiology major for a while. This is one of the reasons why, like, they say, like, laws are written in blood is because of people like this that are like, you know what? You don't need water because I've decided you don't need water.
I need water.
Water.
I'm thinking of dehydration and I'm like, I must be thirsty.
Yeah, we both have water bottles on our tables because the weather has been being, like, rainy, hot, slightly chilly, rainy, hot. Blazing sun with no clouds for 2 days.
That's the spring.
So, yeah, at least my vocal cords are not in the world's best shape today, but that's okay. We're going to make it work.
Yeah, it's all right. But okay, so he decided to conduct an experiment that wasn't even like proper scientific
Right.
Just
it was
spur of the moment. I want to see what happens, but not actually have any research or anything to gather this research.
Right. It's barely mentioned. Like this fact is mentioned that he was trying to purposely like dehydrate them, but it was barely mentioned like why he chose to do that. But from what I'm understanding with the different articles is that it was kind of like a trade thing that some coaches and stuff were trying to figure out, like, you know, if I make them not have as much water, will it make them push themselves harder? Spoiler alert, it does not. It does not.
No.
That's just like you can't just drink water if you're going to exercise all day. You also need electrolytes because you need things like salt.
I mean, back then I guess you didn't really know, so, but at the same time, it's like, ethically, this is wrong. If you want to do a study, that's fine because you don't understand it, okay, but you get people that agree. And, you know, there's always, no matter what kind of experiment that you're told that you're going to be a part of, there's always a chance that you're going to die. Let's just be real there.
That is true. That's why they have, like, release forms and stuff like that of, hey, I'm willingly signing up to be part of this experiment, so if something happens to me, I'm not going to hold you responsible because you are literally experimenting on me.
Yeah, it's like, and I have agreed to these type of terms. And I'm pretty sure that they have it to where, I don't know, I've never been a part of an experiment, but nowadays I'm pretty sure, like, every test that they do, they have to sign the form so that way they know what they're doing. Kind of thing.
They have like an obnoxious amount of forms now for things like that. But I understand because
I get it now. Like,
yeah, people are dumb. The course was also not cleared of any obstacles during the marathon, so people were still trying to drive on roads, walk dogs, bike, while the marathon was going on.
What?
In fact, race officials rode in vehicles ahead of and behind the runners, which caused dust clouds that made the hot and humid conditions that they were in worse because it was 90 degrees Fahrenheit whenever they started running.
So then even more water is required here. How many people died?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, I don't think anyone actually died. People came close to it, but no one actually died. However, only 14 of the 32 people that entered the race actually finished. Like, actually made it across the finish line.
How many people were there that entered?
32.
And how many people?
14.
14.
Made it across the finish line. And I think
how many people got ran over?
Surprisingly, no one got ran over.
Oh, good.
I know, right?
That's good. Anyone bitten by a dog? Or got tangled in a leash?
Actually, yes. I will tell you about the poor man who had to deal with the dog. I like the fact that you asked that because that's actually one of the fun facts. So there were quite a few interesting characters that were the racers, which I'll just introduce them. You know, like we'll just be like, okay, this is what happened to this guy. This is around what he placed in. But there were two people that were from South Africa. I couldn't find much information on the second guy. I don't know if I wrote down his name because it really had like nothing on him except for what his name was. So I just think I forgot to write down his name.
Either that or he was very much like, no.
Yeah, right. It was.
No.
I'm pretty sure he made 11th place, but one of the men from South Africa made 11th place, and then I don't know how to say his name. I'm gonna try really hard. Len Tanyane. He was from Swana, but he represented the Zulu in the Olympics. He ran barefoot.
Wow.
And finished 9th place, but spectators think he would have done better if he hadn't been chased off the track by aggressive dogs.
Dogs.
There were different articles. One article I read said it was a stray dog. Another one said it was a dog that came off the leash or came out of someone's yard or something. Someone else said it was just a random dog that was in the street. I don't really know. I just know that he got chased by a dog. And so he got steered like a mile off the course to get away from this dog.
This poor man.
Mm-hmm. As the first Olympics were wild.
Wait, so did he outrun the dog though?
Yeah, I think
impressive.
Because he finished.
He should have been bumped up a placement there.
Right.
That's insane.
Yeah. So and also the winning time was 30 minutes slower than the second slowest winning time in Olympic history that we have right now.
The winning time was the slowest time ever, the second slowest time?
It was 30 minutes slower than the second slowest time. So I don't know what the times were. I just know it's 30 minutes slower than the second slowest time in Olympic history that's recorded right now.
You know, it makes sense if you're having to dodge cars, run away from dogs, and probably having to be like, oh, look out, with a person just randomly walking or doing their morning jog. Like... That is some poor planning.
Yeah, the fact that anyone made it across the finish line, I'm honestly amazed at. And also the fact that, like, if this happened today, once I tell you, like, what happened to some of these people, there would be lawsuits. The Olympics would just not be a thing anymore.
Or it would never have been hosted in America ever again.
Oh, yeah, definitely not. So I'll tell you about some of the different runners that they had.
Okay.
And so some of them really didn't have like training. They just ran a lot like at their home countries and stuff. But we legitimately, the United States, had Boston Marathon winners entered in this race, some of which could not even finish the course.
That tells you how bad this course is. And that seems so ridiculous. If you're you're the host and you have marathon run, like almost professional, whatever, they like to do this, like they do this competitively. How do you not properly have a course? If you have competitions outside of the Olympics on this sport, like...
Well, that one was in Boston, and they wanted to do one in St. Louis. That's
well,
the
St.
only
Louis,
thing I could come up with.
Like,
so one of which, John Lorden, who won the 1903 Boston Marathon, he was violently ill after 10 minutes and retired from the race. I don't blame him. Sam Meller, who won the 1902 Boston Marathon, was overcome by the dust and dropped out after 16 miles, although he was in the lead at the halfway mark. So he was doing good up to the second water source and then probably realized there was no other water source afterward.
With it being 90 degrees and you have dust coming into your lungs and there's no moisture whatsoever to even try to get that out of your throat, like... I'm surprised no one's dead.
Right. And then William Garcia, who was also from the United States, he was found lying in the road with severe internal injuries from breathing in the clouds of dust from the race officials' cars, which were ahead of him. They caused a rip in his stomach lining, so it made him hemorrhage. And he probably would have died if they didn't have medical staff go and find him.
You mean they didn't have... So they had cars that rode alongside them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, the whenever I said they had, like, cross-traffic and stuff, that race officials literally were behind them, and, like, they were basically spaced out in between the runners. So there were some race officials that were ahead of the runners, kicking up more dust on the already dusty, really crappy farm roads. And so when you breathe in dust, it coats, like, your esophagus and stuff, and it makes it hard to breathe.
Did they know at this time? It's 1904. I would think that they do know
they
at
did.
this time.
I feel like this is literally a case of negligence, which is weird because it's literally the Olympics. But it's also like, so this makes you appreciate how organized we've become now when it comes to, like, making events.
Well, now you definitely have the fear of being sued for the smallest little thing. So,
oh yeah,
for that's the reason why everything is getting sued for the smallest little thing.
That is
the
very
start.
True.
That was the ball.
There are some scary things when I took sports law as a class. There were some little loopholes that were in there that we were told about by our professor. That I'm like, I'm
loopholes.
Glad. Yeah, like, technically, if you have a trampoline in your yard and you don't have a sign on your trampoline that says do not jump on it, if, like, your neighbor's kid gets into your yard and jumps on it and hurts themselves, they can technically sue you because it's liability from...
Which is
you have
stupid.
You have something there that's tempting for the child, and the child doesn't understand their consequences.
Well, now I guess I understand why every candle has warning, flammable, no dip shit. Like, yeah, that's the purpose. This is stupid.
Yeah. So basically, I don't ever want to get a trampoline.
I don't want a trampoline if that's the case. Well, I definitely don't want a pool.
I feel like you're about to get mad about this next guy that I'm going to talk about.
Oh, no.
Welcome to me just making Tori angry about humanity. So, this guy, his name's Fred Lors. He was the first to arrive at the finish line with a finish time of 3 hours and 13 minutes. He was hailed as the winner, got a picture with Alice Roosevelt, who was Theodore Roosevelt's 20-year-old daughter, and he was almost given the gold medal until he was revealed to have cheated. So while he was running... Did
he catch a ride on the race car?
You gotta stop taking my material. You're saying things as a joke, but it legitimately happened. So he was suffering from cramps, and he dropped out of the race at only 9 miles. I say only, but 9 miles is still an accomplishment.
That's a lot,
yeah. But compared to the 24, I mean...
That's pretty short into the race
That's
thing.
what I mean when I say only. If you can run more than a mile, I'm so proud of you. I just want to make sure I mention that, because I had to run 1 mile when I did drum corps, and I thought I was dying. So...
Oh, man.
But he started to hitch a ride back to the stadium in the car. He was even waving at spectators and runners as he passed them, but the car broke down at mile 19, so he re-entered the race and jogged across the finish line. He only
You can't just re-enter. When you're out. Sucks.
He admitted his deception only when confronted and said that he was just joking and he wasn't going to accept the medal, even though they were literally about to ring it around his head.
You were going to accept it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, don't lie.
So he was actually almost banned for life by the what was it called again? Amateur Athletic Union, which I've never heard of, but if it's still there, good job. But he was only banned for a year after they found out he was not trying to defraud, because I guess they got the full story of he didn't go into the race with intentions to drive.
Yeah, it sounds
part
like
of the course.
It sounds like he did exit the race, because I mean, why else would you make a like? Oh yeah, I'm hitching a ride. Hi everyone. Like,
right. So it
if
was
you
more
plan on
of-
going back in.
I feel like they gave him the "we'll let you try again" after a year because you know you did something stupid, and because of pure stupidity, we'll let you try again.
It's like, did anyone tell him? It's like, oh yeah, just get back in the race, man. That's fine.
I don't think so. It sounds like he just wanted to get back to the stadium, and since the car broke down, he was just like, well, I just got a good rest, so I'll just run the rest of the way over there. And then apparently
And then
because
just never said.
Yeah, because of course if a crowd sees one of the entrants going up to the finish line, they're going to get excited about it.
That's true. So one of two things happened. One, he was egotistical and was like, oh my gosh, they're cheering for me. Yay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm back in the race. Yeah, I'll take that medal. And then was like, well, I didn't have the intention of taking that medal. Or two, just got anxiety over it. Was like, I don't want to disappoint these people. I don't want to say.
Right, it's like you trying to awkwardly like scoot over and be like, hey, I didn't actually win. Please don't put that on my neck.
It's like, I just wanted to get back here. I'm sorry.
This is all a misunderstanding, please.
It's one of those two things.
Yeah, so he ended up not getting first place. He was disqualified. So his entrant is technically null.
Yeah, makes sense.
He was initially the first place winner. Thomas Hicks. Wow. I don't know why I couldn't say that just now. My mouth was just like, what? But he won, but 10 miles up to the finish line, he had to be restrained from stopping and laying down on the track by his trainers because he was so tired. He had
to be, restrained?
Yeah, because he kept trying to lay down, so his trainers, which were probably in cars, like, close to him, had to literally, like, grab him and keep him from laying down. Because he was so exhausted he wanted to lay down.
Even with the finish line being right there, that tells you how just done he was. He's like, I've entered the stadium. I'm done.
Oh, no, he wasn't in the stadium yet.
Oh,
he was
wow.
10 miles to the finish line, so he still had a while.
10 miles, that's a lot.
Yeah, but he was trying to lay down, and they were like, no, you're not going to lay down. In fact, they gave him several doses of strychnine. I don't think I'm saying that right, but I didn't look up what it is.
What is that?
It's a rat poison that stimulates the nervous system in small doses. So they gave him a small dose of rat poison mixed with brandy and egg whites to give him more energy to keep running.
Give him water! Give him water! What is this?
So basically, drink water. Yeah.
I'm out. I'm done.
Tori is leaving. No, she's back. It's okay.
I can't.
So he began hallucinating and was barely able to walk.
This poor man.
Most of the course.
Oh my
Once
gosh.
he reached the stadium, his support team carried him over the line, holding him in the air as he shuffled his feet back and forth like he was running. He had to be carried off the track and was treated by several doctors, and he lost 8 pounds during the course.
8 pounds?
Mm-hmm. That's
insane.
That's how dehydrated and worn out he was.
Holy
He literally,
this poor man.
like,
yeah, if anyone had the right to sue.
like, it's not unusual to lose like 1, 2, maybe 3 pounds. Like if you're doing like a serious hardcore workout, if you ate and hydrate a lot before, but 8 pounds is insane.
You just shedded a baby.
I'd like to remind you, no one got sued because lawsuits weren't a thing back then. So this kind of was just like, well, we're just not going to do that again anyway.
They poisoned him. They don't give him water when he's dehydrated. They give him brandy.
Yeah, they gave him brandy, egg whites, and a small dose of rat poison.
Is that the worst one?
Honestly, yeah, I think it is. Because the next guy is my favorite. Not for like bad things, but he's just such a interesting character.
Okay, I can make it.
Yes, we're gonna end on a positive note because I think this is the last one that I found information on.
Holy crack! That is just
But
absolutely. Oh my
No,
gosh!
that last story, I feel bad for laughing, but how they describe it in every article is they basically were holding him up by his arms, like Titanic style, and he
He's
was
alive.
just wiggling his legs back and forth to make it look like he was running so he could cross the finish line.
It's like I'm laughing because it does sound very funny, and then I also kind of want to cry for that man. I'm like, it's so sad.
It's a laugh cry.
It's a lot. There's a mix of emotion here. The fact that he's alive makes it to where I don't feel bad for laughing, but I'm like, I feel bad for what he went through.
Right?
Like, that sucks.
Like, I guess it's. I'm not going to say it's worth it because it's not. You should not ingest rat poison at all.
no,
You should not hallucinate for 10 miles while you are running.
You should be given water.
But at least he ended up winning at the end of the day. At least. But still, do not eat rat poison.
But he needed help to get across the finish line. He had to do a cartoon moment in order to get there. Like, that's sad. That tells you that this was not achievable.
Mm-hmm. So, this last person we're talking about, he's Cuban. I believe his name is Felix because it has the little like symbol above the E. But his name is Felix Carbajal. He was a Cuban national. He arrived in New Orleans and lost all of his money on a dice game, so he ended up having to walk and hitchhike to St. Louis to enter the race.
Well, that's his own fault.
But Felix,
He got a
don't
little bit
know.
of training in while he was gone.
I'm going to say Felix for the rest of it because I can't remember to say Felix. But Felix was 5 feet tall, so he was a short man.
He is short.
But he has the best mustache ever. It was like the curly ones, you know? It's like bushy but curly on the ends.
This is like a full bush.
Yeah, it was like full
curl?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I hit the mic.
Gosh, Tori.
I know.
Hitting the microphone.
How dare I?
But it was a big like bushy mustache, and he had a white like kind of like button up shirt, and he had full length trousers that he ended up cutting right when he got to the finish line, and regular street shoes, so like those old fashioned like thin ones that like went up over your ankles. And he had a beret.
Oh, because all of his belongings got stolen. Is that what you had said? All of them, or just his money because he gambled it all?
I believe it was just his money.
Okay.
Yeah, just
Why
his
did
money.
he decide to enter in a button-up?
No one knows. It's just what he showed up in.
Wow, he's a fancy man.
He was. Is it then? I found a picture of him. He like legitimately he just looks like a super interesting guy. And then what he did during the race just cracks me up because it's like I could just imagine this being the guy that's just cracking jokes the entire time that they're like at like different events and stuff. Like, oh, you're a fellow athlete. You know, he's probably goofing off the whole time.
I can imagine that too.
So as he was running, he stopped several times so that he could speak to spectators in very broken English because he couldn't speak English very well. At one point, he stopped a car that was driving by. I don't know if he stopped or if he was like walking or like running beside it as it was still driving, but the occupants were eating peaches, and so he asked them if he could have a peach. After they refused him, he grabbed 2 peaches out of the car and ran off eating them. Because
he's
he
like,
was
I
hungry.
need it. If I'm gonna finish this, I need those peaches.
And then further on, during the course, they passed like through an apple orchard because it's like farmland essentially. They passed through an apple orchard, and he decided he was still hungry, so he stopped and grabbed an apple off of one of the apple trees, which turned out to be rotten. So it gave him severe stomach cramps, and he decided to take a nap during the course.
Oh my gosh, it's like the hair.
Guess what place he finished in?
Third.
Fourth.
Fourth.
But he took a nap in the middle of the race after eating an apple and stealing 2 peaches from a lovely, lovely couple.
Why didn't they just give him the peach?
I don't know. Honestly, if I was like driving on a course that I knew was the Olympics, I would be like, you can have this. It's fine.
Unless, of course, they didn't know it was the Olympics, since it was so poorly planned, it seemed.
They might not have.
They may have just been like this man running in regular clothing alongside their car. Can you imagine that? Being like, hey, can I have some of those? It's like, no, who are you? What are you doing? Maybe that was the case.
Maybe.
Or maybe they were selling the peaches and they're like, no, these are for sale. Like, they're not.
It could have been.
We can't just give it to you. Maybe there's reasons. I don't know. I'm trying to think of the best in the person rather than just not giving him a peach.
Yeah, it could have been that they were selling them or something, but none of the articles go into like definition on what kind of like peach car like it was. It's just
basically he stole 2 peaches.
He took 2 peaches from some people and then ran off eating them,
which is
because he was hungry. Yeah,
that's kind of funny.
Like
the people with the Olympic whatever, they should be the ones paying for those peaches if they were for sale.
Right. Because
that's their own fault. They should have supplied more water and some food.
Exactly. But yeah, this Olympics, I know at least from this event, I think there were a couple other like minor things that happened. Like I think one of the food supplies got poisoned also with rat poison on accident. I don't remember what a specific event it was. I just saw it mentioned somewhere. Basically, I'm probably going to do a follow-up with this video because this event already was just a wild ride. But they ended up doing, like I said, like the mini redo Olympics 2 years later to kind of be like, hey, the U.S. isn't horrible for hosting Olympics. And then they had regular Olympics in 1908. Hey, we're not going to make you all almost die from dust inhalation this time.
Where was it held in 1908? Do you know? Was it still St. Louis?
I don't think it wasn't St. Louis. I don't remember what location that they ended up. But basically I think it was still in the U.S. in 1908, but basically the U.S. was kind of like, hey, we're not going to kill you again if we do an Olympics.
It's like, we're really sorry about that. We had some stupid people.
Well, because that failure wasn't only bad for, like, the United States hosting, but it was bad for the Olympics in general because they were basically trying to revive it. So if your first Olympics is that bad, with marathon winners not being able to finish your marathon, that's a problem. If less than half of your entrants cross the finish line, that's a problem.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I say props to the guy that was running barefoot and got chased by a dog.
Right.
Props to that man.
Len is a legend.
Like, you go, sir.
Because I am a wimp when it comes to, like, running on weird textures and stuff with bare feet, so I could not do that. I just couldn't, because I would be the one that would step on a rock and be like, I can't. I can't.
I'm down.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes me think, what was I watching? Monsters vs. Aliens.
Oh my god.
Do you know the scene? It's like they're in the car and the girl is like very more macho than the guy.
Uh-huh.
And so they're running and she jumps over the fence and he tries to. It splits and his ankle just goes.
Yes.
It's like, help, I'm down. It's like, oh, she just carries him. I don't know why. That made me think of it. My chair is really freaking squeaky. I don't like it. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, Tori's chair keeps squeaking. I don't know why.
Like, I'm really sorry. I'm trying not to move as much. But anyway,
no, that's how that 1904 men's marathon ended. Is first place winner hallucinating as he crossed the finish line. Although I don't know if that counts because they did carry him.
They carried him. I mean, the least they could do is give him the placement of whatever, but at the same time, like, he didn't really finish. Like, I don't know if he really cared to have it. He was just tired.
I was just thinking about it because I know that you hear about your grandpa's like Olympic stories and stuff because you used to work. They have a little like family company. You used to work for your family's company. And I just imagined this guy who's like, when I won the Olympics, I was hallucinating because I ate rat poison.
Because they gave me rat poison. At the time, kids, they didn't realize that was a bad idea. They thought it was great. It's not. Don't do it.
Don't eat rat poison. Drink water. That's the summary of today is drink water.
Drink water. It's, oh my gosh. Yeah, I don't know if you love that.
Water bottle ASMR.
It's like I don't know if you can count that as any, but for me, I'm like, you know what? None of the placements really. I don't want to say count, but at the same time, like it wasn't fair.
Yeah,
at all.
they count, but they're not fair.
It's not fair at all because I'm sure some of them got a lot more dust involved than others. I'm sure there were it's just not a fair.
They didn't
fair
train
race.
For dogs to be on the road.
Some got chased by dogs while others did not. Like that's not fair.
Like if blah blah gets chased by a dog, I want to be like I want this person to also be chased by a dog. Like
it's got to be a fair race. I don't want anyone chased by a dog. That sounds
no,
terrifying.
That would be so funny though if that was like a thing that was input in the training of. Okay, guys, last year a guy got chased off the course by a dog. So this year
we're preparing
We're preparing. Go, Fido.
It's like release the hounds.
Go
that makes me think of dodgeball training. It's like if you could dodge a wrench, you could dodge a ball.
Oh my gosh.
If you can run away from a dog, you can win this marathon.
Oh my gosh. But this is a perfect example of why we have rules and regulations, and I find it strange in the fact that this is a legitimate official event that went so terribly that you don't really hear about it.
I've never heard about this.
Like we go over like American history and so like that's one of the courses that you literally have to go over, and they don't cover enough of like the somewhat modern stuff that's like from like once you hit like 1900 they start skimming over things.
Yeah, like going backward. Yeah, they kind of just I guess either one, they don't really have all of the details, I guess maybe, but it just surprises me that I hadn't even like heard this like mentioned, like even just like one line in a history textbook. In 1904 the United States hosted the worst marathon ever. No, they were probably just like, this is when it got picked back up, or they just went straight into 1906.
Probably.
That is all right. Poor anyone that entered that is just bravo. Okay, just bravo. Happy that you were even in it. You suffered. I don't care even if you did like a whole mile. You suffered.
Right.
There's like it was poorly planned, poorly executed, and that's so sad. And I am scared to hear the other failures of this Olympics.
There were quite a few because I would find articles. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, here's the marathon. Oh yeah, also this thing happened." It'd be like one sentence about it, and then they'd switch back to the marathon. I'm like, wait. Wait
a second.
So if you liked hearing about this, let us know in the comments or reviews or whatever, because we'll do a second parter to it if you want to hear more about what happened with this Olympics, because it was a riot.
I'm sure we will have another one, and for that, like, you should definitely subscribe to our channel or whatever equivalent
platform you're listening
the platform
on.
Yeah, whatever it may be. Like, keep following us and hear about these ridiculous and just it is strange why anyone thought that was okay. So our world is crazy and nuts, and I'm sorry, Melvin.
We're sorry to our little alien mascot for the horrors he has to listen to.
This is what you learn about our planet. Anyway, we hope to see you guys next time. You have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye.